Alright, I need to talk about something today that I've been wrestling with for a couple of months now. There's not going to be a lot of guitar playing today, but there is something that I want to discuss. And that is, when it comes to guitar pedals, I am completely oversaturated. And I don't think I'm the only one that feels that way. We've been flooded with pedals over the last, 3 to 5 years. And for me, it's hard to see through the jungle anymore. What about you? Do you feel the same? Because I've been having this feeling for a couple months now, but the happenings of the last couple days really brought it to the forefront of my mind again. So let me tell you what happened. Okay, so two things actually led to me doing this video now. One was a couple of days ago, I actually watched a Tom Bukovac video and somebody said to him there's around 1,500 active pedal manufacturers in the world right now. Think about just that sheer number, 1,500 manufacturers. And let's just assume every of these manufacturers has just 5 different pedals. Most of them will probably have more, but let's just assume 5 for now because that's easy math, right? And if my brain works correctly, that would actually mean that's 7,500 pedals from different manufacturers. Now, if we consider that most of them will be drive pedals, Tubescreamer clones, Klon clones, blues driver clones, then you can easily see what I'm getting at, right? It's just too many of the same. Okay, that's all just numbers, right? But something else happened to me the other day. What happened was that a certain pedal manufacturer, whose name shall not be revealed because it's not an unknown pedal manufacturer, probably most of you know it, but he approached me and wanted me to review a specific pedal in his line. And I actually had to turn down the offer. And that wasn't because I'm a pedal snob, quite the contrary actually. And it wasn't because I wasn't convinced the pedal would have been of high quality. It was because it was one of these pedals that's just not very original, and there are millions of pedals like this in the market already. It was a Tubescreamer Clone, or let's just say the manufacturer's take on what that Tubescreamer should sound like. And testing different Tubescreamer circuits or doing comparisons is just not what I'm looking for. Because in my mind, the Tubescreamer circuit has been around for like 40 years now. We all know how it sounds like. We all know what's inside a Tubescreamer. We all know that it's very, very simple technology. It's a couple parts, literally nothing else. And at the end of the day, it's probably gonna sound like a Tubescreamer sounds, otherwise it wouldn't be a Tubescreamer clone, right? And the way I am and the way my setup is and the way I look at guitar gear, this was just nothing that my setup would benefit from. So the only reason to do this review would be to send the pedal back after the review, and that's it. And that just got me thinking. It's got me thinking about the guitar pedal industry. Because, look, I brought my Spark Booster by TC Electronics as a good example for a couple things for this episode today. And one of it is, it's one of these booster pedals that costs literally nothing, but it can sound like anything. It has a Tubescreamer mode with a mid focus, it can do a clean boost, and it can actually do a fat boost, whatever that is. But the point of this is, this can 100% sound like a Tubescreamer because it has a bass and a treble knob. I can make it sound very mid-focused and nasally, but I can also make it sound absolutely full range and sound like, I don't know, a king of tone. And yes, I'm saying king of tone. I had the MXR Duke of Tone here 2 weeks ago, and I could make this sound exactly like it. And that is kind of the dilemma of the entire situation. We've been flooded with pedals for the last couple years, but we already have pedals that can pretty much sound like all the pedals that have been released in the last couple of years. And there is no way this sounds worse than any other drive pedal because it has the same technology in it than any other drive pedal. If you, for instance, watch the JHS Pedals channel, Joshua Scott will tell you exactly that this is true. There's the same technology in all of these pedals, and a lot of them sound very much the same. So that made me wonder, where's all the innovation in the pedal market? And innovation is something I want to talk about next. Of course, there is innovation in guitar pedals. I think of Earthquaker devices or Meris, or Chase Bliss. These companies have built pedals that are unlike anything else. For instance, think about the Maris Enzo or the Chase Bliss, whatever that reverb pedal was called, or even the Earthquaker Devices Avalanche Run delay and reverb in one pedal. All these things were pretty innovative, but I would argue that around 90% of all the new pedals that come out are pretty much rehashed versions of World War II technology put into a much nicer enclosure. Every pedal company has a Tubescreamer Clone. Every pedal company has a Klon Clone. Every pedal company has that one pedal that's supposed to mimic a silicon fuzz phase. When the silicon fuzz phase was already perfectly done in 1960 something, 69. That's not quite what I would call innovation. And it's actually the main reason I find most of these pedals that come out nowadays so redundant. They all sound like anything else. And the guitar industry is unique in that because we really do not wish to have any innovation. We want the same stuff that everybody played 60 years ago. That's pretty unique. That probably happens in guitar, in the Harley Davidson sphere maybe, and I don't know, chess? What I want to say is the horse has been pretty much beaten to death, and now that horse has also been dead for a long time. So the question is, who actually benefits from such an oversaturated market? And that's what I've been really thinking about, because I wanted to compare it to other developments in the guitar world. Let's think about reverb for a second. So when you do the math, when everybody can be a guitar dealer because he has access to reverb, and now we have access to much more different guitars, everybody benefits. The person who sells his stuff benefits because he has a much bigger audience to sell that instrument to, and the audience benefits because there's a lot more options to choose from if you want to buy something new. Then I thought about the uprise of home studios in the last 10 years. Everybody with a laptop and a couple speakers can now call himself a producer and have a home studio. And while some of that stuff is pretty problematic, I guess overall that's a net positive for the guitar industry, because you can now produce guitar tones and record them in your bedroom. Essentially that's what I'm doing when I do the videos on YouTube or Instagram. I have a Kemper in front of me and I can just do all these different things, and the sound is pretty good. So that's also a net positive for everyone, right? The manufacturers benefit because they can sell their products, and the audience also benefits because everybody has a better tone, everybody can record stuff way easier, entire studio sessions can be done remotely, all of that stuff is great. But this new flood of pedal companies and their products, is that really positive for anyone? You now have a lot more pedal companies, but the market hasn't really grown. It's still the same old people playing the same old guitars. And let's be honest, you may use one booster and you may use one overdrive and you may use 2 fuzzes and a delay, but nobody needs 6 tube screamers, 4 Klon Clones, and 11 tape delays, right? So the market share per pedal manufacturer gets smaller and smaller and smaller with every new pedal manufacturer coming in. So that isn't all that good. And for the audience, us guitar players, it's actually the same. It's like we are so oversaturated. I'm pretty much stuffed, and it's so hard to even see through the jungle of pedals. It's just more of the same, rehashed and made new, but still the old stuff. So the pedal companies don't really win. The audience doesn't really win. And also, let's not forget, there are thousands and thousands of pedals you can just buy on eBay. So there's an entire used market of pedals that you can choose pedals from. So I wonder how all these new pedal manufacturers actually will make money. I just don't see how that is beneficial for anyone. And I don't think that trend will continue because of all the reasons that I just mentioned. But what do you think? Where's the guitar pedal market headed? Do you still compare your old pedals to products of new pedal manufacturers? Let me know how you think about that entire pedal industry topic. And that's it for today, guys. I have been Joey, and I'll see you in the next.